In the modern day entertainment industry, it seems like all too often, you see people who just continue to fail upwards. They churn out flop after flop, yet continue to get hired, either because they have the right politics or they check the right box. And I think it's safe to say someone like Ava Duvernay absolutely falls into that category. And she's someone that when she has a project that doesn't do well, she tends to blame everybody but herself. And this time, once again, for her newest upcoming movie, she's blaming, you guessed it, racism. You know, the reason international audiences don't want to watch some of her movies, it must just be because of racism. If this movie doesn't perform as well as Oppenheimer does, it must just be because of racism. That's actually the path that she's going down. Director Ava Duvernay, international film festivals don't care about black filmmakers' stories. That's one complaint. International audiences, they just don't care about stories if it's about black people. And then on the topic of Oppenheimer, she had something different to say. Ava Duvernay says racism and sexism, the double whammy to blame for audiences being more excited about Oppenheimer than her Isabel Wilkerson biopic origin. According to director Ava Duvernay, the lack of interest in her upcoming Isabel Wilkerson biopic origin compared to the similarly structured Oppenheimer has nothing to do with the latter's historical importance and everything to do with the audience's own racist and sexist attitudes. Now, this Isabel Wilkerson was a journalist, the first black journalist to win a Pulitzer Prize for individual reporting and the first black woman to win a journalism Pulitzer. 1994 winner in the feature writing category, Wilkerson received an award from Columbia University for her profile of a fourth grader from Chicago's South Side and 2 stories reporting on the Midwestern floods. So, a famous black journalist. And it's a book that she wrote about historical racism in the United States that inspired Ava Duvernay to adapt the book into a semi-biographical film about the journalist. Speaking on her upcoming film, The Variety's Angelique Johnson, the woman once attached to helm DC's New Gods film explained, it has biographical elements, so in some ways it's a biopic. In some ways it's a docudrama. In some ways it's just straight up adaptation of these really beautiful and tragic moments in history. The goal was to stitch together a tapestry, create a quilt, and that's how I think of it. Allow myself to color outside the lines of what I've been told, just to throw all that out and tell a story from my gut, and it came from reading this book. And then she got asked about getting people to watch it. From the reporter, what does it take to get an audience to watch a movie like this? Because midway through, I realized this is a process film, a movie about someone making something. I just had a conversation about She Said, which I loved, and I was frustrated because it feels like when there's process films about women and people of color, people are not as intrigued. I don't know that this is a fair question, but I'm curious as what you make to get the audience in the door because it's complicated when asking people to watch material that is challenging. Here's Ava Duvernay. She says, no, I don't think that. You just have to make a good movie. No, she says 100%. If it's about women or people of color, we're at a disadvantage. You're right, the director affirmed. It's challenging to watch a process film about a man making a bomb, Oppenheimer. He's a man who was trying to do something, couldn't quite describe it to anyone else. And he knew it. Isabel's a woman who knows something, can't describe it, but she knows it and she's going to find it. You'll sit through 3 hours of his process. Will you sit through 2 hours of her process? I think it's the only proposition. It's not talking about the merit of the films. It's talking about the very idea of following a woman through an intellectual process, then make that a black person. Then you make that a black woman. Is it valid enough for you to go on that journey with her? Saying essentially that if people don't give this the same chance that they give Oppenheimer, you're just a racist and you're just a sexist. That's the struggles with making movies the way that she does. But it's really not surprising. Obviously, that was, a question from the reporter, but it also doesn't negate what she said earlier about the fact international audiences don't care about this. If you don't pay it, if you're willing to watch Oppenheimer but not this, it must just be because your inherent racism and sexism, because you're not willing to see this from a black woman's perspective. Is pretty wild. I think in all honesty, most people believe if you make a good movie, people probably go up to see it. Whether it's a biopic or a superhero movie or Top Gun Maverick or the 7th sequel to something or a Super Mario animated movie or an Oppenheimer movie. If it has a demand, if it has an audience, people think it's good, people are going to go watch it. I guess Ava Duvernay may have forgotten what that's like because she's just had so many failures and canceled projects as of late. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.